Have you ever felt that that unsettling rush of time? Like maybe everyone around you is hitting their stride.
Yeah, like they've unlocked some secret formula for success.
Exactly. And you somehow missed it. Maybe you're, staring down 30, or maybe you've cruised past it and you're still sort of waiting for that big breakthrough. If that sounds familiar at all, then this deep dive is absolutely free.
It's a really powerful cultural narrative, isn't it? We get these stories constantly.
Oh, yeah.
The outliers, right?
Yeah.
The Mark Zuckerbergs building empires in their 20s, or the sort of comforting tales of a Colonel Sanders franchising KFC way later in life.
Right, the extremes.
But what rarely gets discussed is the statistical reality that lies between those points.
Yeah.
There's this kind of invisible ceiling, often unspoken, that just quietly descends as the years pass.
That's such a crucial point. And it's often unacknowledged, isn't it? We get bombarded with those extremes, which makes it incredibly difficult to get a realistic read on where we actually stand. And the truth is, well, it's not just one single path to success.
Definitely not.
There are different types of achievement, totally different windows of opportunity, and you need entirely different strategies depending on where you are on that life timeline.
Right.
So our goal today isn't about crushing dreams or, promoting ageism. It's much more about giving you an honest assessment.
It's about strategic thinking, really. Understanding the real game you're playing.
So you can play it better.
Exactly. Because honestly, the worst thing you can do is operate under illusions about how things actually work.
Totally agree.
So our mission today is to break down these nuanced realities of timing across different fields.
Like tech versus entertainment.
Yeah, tech, entertainment, traditional business, creative pursuits. We'll look at what the data actually says about peak performance ages, why some industries seem to really favor youth while others clearly reward experience, and most importantly, what you can actually do with this information no matter your age right now.
And we'll touch on the psychological shifts, too.
Absolutely. Both the limitations and the surprising advantages that come with age, and how you can leverage your position instead of just fighting against.
Okay, so if you're under 30 and maybe think you have all the time in the world, you really need to hear this. And if you're over 30 and maybe wondering if it's too late, well, you need to hear this more.
Let's start with that foundational piece then. The sometimes uncomfortable truth about how our own biology plays into achievement.
The biological reality, okay.
The scientific reality is just this.
Right.
Your brain at 30. It's not the same as it was at 25.
Right.
And it's definitely not the same at 35 as it was at 30. So while we often, celebrate wisdom and experience,
We do.
we rarely dig into what neuroscience has found about specific types of cognitive peak performance.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this then. You mentioned something. Fluid intelligence. What exactly is that, and how does it connect with success?
Right. Fluid intelligence. It's essentially your brain's ability to process new information quickly,
Okay.
to adapt to novel situations. It covers things like working memory, processing speed, and just the raw capacity to absorb completely new skills.
And the timing.
Well, the data shows, pretty definitively actually, that this type of intelligence tends to peak in your early 20s.
Early 20s, wow.
Yeah, and then it begins a slow, measurable decline after that.
Yeah.
And this isn't just like an opinion or some theory.
Well,
No, it's a demonstrable biological reality. We can measure it.
that really paints a stark picture, a kind of fixed cognitive peak for that skill. But what about everything else we hear? Wisdom, experience, accumulated knowledge.
Right.
Does neuroscience say anything about that kind of intelligence? Or is it just wishful thinking that we get, smarter in other ways?
That's a critical question. And thankfully, no, it's not all one way. While fluid intelligence has that specific curve,
Okay.
crystallized intelligence, that's your accumulated knowledge, your expertise, your deep understanding of subjects that actually continues to grow.
Okay.
Well into your 60s, even beyond.
Yeah.
This is where experience, the ability to connect different pieces of information, a deep grasp of subject, that's where it really comes into play.
So the crucial question becomes,
Which type of intelligence does your chosen field reward more heavily, fluid or crystallized?
that's a really powerful distinction, and it completely changes how you might look at career paths, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So if we follow that logic, let's dive into some specific industries. Where do we really see youth dominating? Where is that fluid intelligence paramount?
Technology is the classic example.
Right, Silicon Valley.
Exactly. That sector heavily rewards fluid intelligence. Frameworks, programming languages, they change every few years. Right?
Don't they?
So processing speed for new information matters enormously. The data even shows the average age of successful tech entrepreneurs at the time they founded the company is around 25.
20.
Yeah. And what's often unspoken is that in Silicon Valley, being over 40 can, well, sometimes be seen as a liability, not an asset.
Really? A liability?
In some circles, yes. The perception is the industry just moves too fast. The learning curve for totally new paradigm incredibly steep, and it's often tougher for older minds to keep pace with younger ones who basically grew up digital.
That definitely tracks with what you hear coming out of tech. But does that mean, are there any exceptions or nuances within fields like, say, entertainment or pros? Are those also dates?
For direct entertainment roles and professional athletics, yeah, the expiration dates are generally pretty brutal and quite universal.
Like acting or music.
Exactly. The window for breaking into Hollywood as a, say, leading actor, it typically closes really rapidly after 30. Record labels, they very rarely sign new artists over 28. And pro sports obviously has hard cutoff. Depending on the sport, they rarely extend much beyond the 30s.
So peak physical ability, maybe raw, youthful.
Right, or just the capacity to absorb incredibly complex, high-pressure information super quickly, that fluid intelligence.
Okay, so that's where youth often try. What about the other side? Where does experience really become your superpower? Where does that crystallized intelligence get its chance?
Well, connecting this back, fields like consulting, law, high-level investment banking, they're prime examples.
Okay.
Here, pattern recognition from years and years of experience genuinely trumps raw prod power.
So seeing things others miss.
Exactly. Seeing what others miss, understanding really complex human dynamics, navigating tricky institutional politics, these skills really improve with age.
Can you give an example?
Sure, think about Warren Buffett. Famously didn't hit his full stride until his 50s.
Right.
Or most Supreme Court justices, they often peak in their 60s. In those arenas, the depth of knowledge, the sound judgment, that matters way more than lightning fast processing of brand new stuff.
That's a great point. It's not just the technical skills, it's those softer skills too.
Yeah.
Navigating complex long-term systems.
Precisely.
And it's not just traditional corporate fields either, is it? What about creative pursuit? We often think of artists as young, but maybe that's not.
Yeah, that's a common misconception. But what's actually fascinating is that many behind-the-scenes creative roles, think writing, directing, producing, often decidedly favor maturity.
Really? Why is that?
Well, the perspective that comes from actually living, right? From experiencing setbacks, from truly understanding the intricacies of human nature.
Life experience.
Yeah, that becomes an invaluable asset, not a liability, in those roles. You need that kind of rich tapestry of life experience to tell compelling, nuanced stories that really connect with people.
Okay, so we've got this clearer picture. Some fields favor youth and fluid intelligence. Others favor experience and crystallized intelligence. But here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit frustrating. Even in those fields that should reward experience, there's often this invisible bias working against older. Can you unpack that paradox for us?
Yes, this is a really important point many people run into. Even when you have all that valuable crystallized intelligence, all that deep experience, there's this cruel paradox.
How so?
Hiring managers, who are often younger themselves, right, they can make subtle, often unconscious assumptions about older candidates.
Like what?
They might worry about adaptability, to new tech or new methods. They might wonder about energy levels or even just cultural fit.
Ah, the cultural fit argument.
Right. And they might even subconsciously question if someone in their 40s will comfortably take direction from someone in their 20s.
Yeah. So it's not just about what you know anymore. It's about how you're perceived. And that perception can create what some people call the experience trap.
That's a perfect way to put it.
It sounds almost like trying to break into some exclusive club where the entry requirements just keep shifting on you.
Precise. The cruel paradox. You absolutely need experience to get hired in many of these roles.
Right.
But then getting hired can actually become harder as you gain more experience. It's bizarre.
Wow.
And this dynamic explains why so many incredibly talented people find themselves kind of stuck in what feels like career purgatory after 30 or 40.
Even though they have so much to offer.
Exactly. Despite having accumulated a huge wealth of valuable skills and profound insight, it's a real systemic challenge.
Okay, so given all, what does it mean for you, the listener? Is this just a harsh dose of reality that should leave you feeling, defeated? Or is there a strategic path?
No, definitely not defeated.
Yeah.
The most important thing is that understanding these realities doesn't have to be defeating at all. Actually, it's incredibly empowering.
How so?
Because it allows you to work with these inherent forces rather than just, futilely fighting against them.
Okay.
The key is starting with an honest self-assessment. Really ask yourself, what are my actual strengths right now?
Not 10 years ago, but now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What does my chosen industry really reward? Not what I wish it rewarded, but what it actually values. Am I maybe fighting an uphill battle because I'm unconsciously chasing paths that were better suited for a different life stage?
That makes sense. I've definitely seen people maybe in their 30s trying so hard to recreate their 20s.
Right. It's so counterproductive.
Instead, you need to leverage what your 30s or 40s or beyond uniquely offer you.
Yes. Think about it. Your stability might allow you to weather setbacks that could crush a younger entrepreneur.
True.
Your accumulated perspective, it helps you spot patterns others completely miss. And your network, it isn't just a list of names anymore.
It's deeper.
It's a potential pipeline to seasoned advice, high-value partnerships, maybe even funding that a 25-year-old simply hasn't had the time to build.
So, like your example earlier, if you're 28 dreaming of being a tech founder,
The clock is probably ticking louder than you realize. You need that fluid intelligence advantage.
but if you're, say, 35, thinking about moving into investment banking,
You might actually be entering your prime years for that kind of field, where experience and judgment.
okay, so it's about aligning your stage with the industry's demands.
Precisely. And realizing the brutal truth about making it by 30 isn't that everything ends if you don't hit some arbitrary mark.
What is it then?
It's that everything fundamentally changes. The strategies that might have worked wonders at 25, they just won't work the same way at 35. The dreams that made perfect sense back then might need a complete recalibration now. Success after 30 or 40 or 50 requires different thinking, different approach.
And maybe even different definitions of what success means.
Exactly. Different definitions of what success means to you. It's all about evolution.
So ultimately, the most liberating thing you can probably do is just stop chasing someone else's idealized timeline.
Yes, stop comparing yourself to those outliers or societal expectations.
And start creating your own path based on these realities.
Absolutely. The question isn't really whether you've made it by 30 or 35 or whatever age.
What's the real question?
The real question, do you understand what making it actually means for you at whatever age you are right now?
That understanding, that clarity.
That's where real achievement truly begins.